Thank you everyone for coming out today. I think what we've witnessed in the last few days is a tragic and deplorable, a profoundly deplorable crime against a young woman being warped and manipulated by nefarious forces who spread a campaign of hate and intimidation against the migrant community here. And we're here today to say we're not going to stand for that. It's not acceptable. It's not about protecting women. It's about racism, plain and simple. And we've seen this tactic deployed before by the far right in Southport when we saw a similar tragedy, warped and manipulated. We've seen it in Dublin where the far right have done similar things. This is not about protecting women. It's about racism, plain and simple. And I think it's not just the far right. We have a rotten alphabet soup responsible for stern intentions of the far right, of loyalist paramilitaries, and of political unionism. And I think unionist politicians should be particularly ashamed of themselves for the way that they have on one hand given a mealy-mouthed condemnation for one side of their moves, and on the other hand offered justification for what's been happening. Shame on them, shame on them, shame on them. But of course it's not just the DUP. If you look at the BBC, the wider political establishment, Westminster politicians, everyone from Keir Starmer to the Tory party, they have tried to blame migrants. They have reported week on week about the problem of people coming here on boats, on dinghies. About 20 people arrived this week. The problem is not people desperately seeking a better lives for themselves. The problem is those in the halls and corridors of power who refuse to build social housing, who continue to cut our NHS, and who fund wars in the Middle East, in Gaza, who invade Iraq, who invade Afghanistan, which creates the refugee crisis in the first place. They are the problem, not our migrant brothers and sisters. And we have to remain vigilant because no community is immune to the kind of racism that we've seen in recent days. I think the south of Ireland is testament to that, where we've seen racism on the rise. And in my own community in West Belfast, I have witnessed a worrying rise of racism myself, and we should remember our own history as Irish people. We too were once the victim of British colonialism, of Angora Moor, the Great Famine, where a British foreign policy actively starved and committed genocide of people in Ireland, where millions of people here had to flee for better lives for themselves. And what do we face? Racism, discrimination, signs that said no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, and we will not inflict that same misery on people here coming to make a better life for themselves. Rather, we offer up the old adage, give me the voucher, 100,000 welcomes, and that extends to all our migrant brothers and sisters who come here to help us, to contribute to our society, to enrich our society. An array of food, colours, cultures enriches us, does not deter us. So we remember our own history, but as well, I think it's important to point out that the anti-racist tradition here is not something that's unique to people who identify as Irish. And just next month will be the anniversary of Miriam McCracken, whose statue is in the City Hall behind us. A radical Protestant woman who spent her life organising against racism, who spent her life organising against slavery, and when the slave trade tried to set up in Belfast, one of the biggest industrial ports in the world, where it was desperate to get its rotten fingers on. People like Miriam McCracken, radical Protestants, shut down those meetings, and that slave trade was never able to establish itself here. That is a penetration we need to tap into today. We need to see Catholics, Protestants, people of every religion done, taking a stand to reject racism and lay the blame squarely where it lies, and that is those in Westminster, those in Stormont, who have refused to deal with issues such as housing, health and others. So I just want to extend a massive solidarity today to all our migrant brothers and sisters. Hope will always win out over fear, and we have to keep mobilising to send a message of solidarity in the face of this racist attack. So keep out on the streets, keep protesting. No hate, no fear.
Refugees are welcome here.